Hi friends, it's Deanna here today, and today I'm going to show you how to do your measurements, your rice measurement for making pants. I'm super excited about this because sometimes the hardest part about when I'm making like pants such as the ones I'm working with today, which are the paper bag pants, I find that they can go up a little too high, or maybe they don't go up high enough, and I just want to get that measurement just right. So I'm here today to show you how you can measure that and how you can alter your pattern to fit your rice. So let's do it. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is take our measurements. Now, this is best done when you are wearing your undergarments so that you can get a very accurate measurement. When you're wearing clothes, they kind of poke out a little bit. The rice might be lower at the crotch, and your shirt might move the measurements, and so it's best to do it in your undergarments. But obviously, I'm not going to be getting in my undergarments today, so I'm just going to show you how you will do it. You want to grab some rope or twine or something that you have in hand. We're going to use that to kind of mark where we want our pants to hit. Now, this is a high-waisted pattern, so I'm going to go up a little bit. But remember that the paper bag pant goes up a little bit more because it has like a ruffle pant. So you're measuring where you actually want your pant to hit. So like literally this is where my jean is. So this is where I'm going to place my, like a natural waist is where I'm going to place my measurement, where I'm going to do my measurement. So I'm going to tie this around my waist right where I want it. See how my shirt moves it? That's why maybe, it's better to do it without the shirt. Anyway, so then I'm going to need a measuring tape. You can have a measuring tape and then whatever kind of measuring tape you have. And you're gonna need 3 markers. So you can use rubber bands, you can use whatever you want. I've got clips. So I've got my clips clipped at different spots on my measuring tape. So this is how we're going to measure. I'm gonna put this aside for a little bit. I'm gonna grab my paper. I actually did all the math already, but I'm gonna show you. The middle marker, so we've got the top marker, middle marker, bottom marker. The middle marker, you're gonna put it at whatever measurement you want. I'm gonna start with 20 just because it's an even number and it will be easy to just work with. Doesn't really matter which one. And then the other 2s will change on your body. So we're gonna grab this middle piece and we're gonna put that right at your center. So we're gonna wrap this measuring tape around and put it right at that center crotch seam right here, right at the center. And we're gonna go up to where my measurement, my line is, where I measure my waist, where my natural waist is. And we're gonna grab our clip and we're gonna place it right there, where that goes. And then we're gonna go to the back. And actually, I actually did it the other way. Let's go this way, because I already measured myself and I want to make sure. So that's the middle, and then this one's gonna go up to the front, and this one is going to the back. Where's my clip? So did I drop it? Okay, so here's my clip, and I'm going all the way to where that line is, where it hits, where my rope, the thing I tied around my waist, where it hits. So those are your measurements. So now you've got it marked on your measuring tape. All right, so what we do now is we write all these numbers down. Well, you could have written them while you were doing it, but I'm gonna write it now. I have them right here. So 20 is the number that I started with. That's my base number, that's my middle number. So I'm gonna write 20 on here. You can start 20, you can start 30, you can start wherever you want. It really doesn't matter because we're going from that number up or down to see how much this is what we need, just this measurement like this. So now I've got 20, and the back one went to 4.5. So I'm gonna subtract 4.5 from 20, which is equals 15.5, which means that that's my back rice, okay? So then what we're going to do is go to the front, and my front went all the way to 29.5. So I'm gonna subtract 29.5 from 20, and that equals 9.5, which is my front rice. right? Yes, my front rise. So you can also do, if you don't want to do the math, you can grab your 20 right here and you can count all the way to your 4.5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.5. And that would give you your rise. So that's really easy. So now that we've got that, now that we know what a rise is, and you might want to keep this, you know, we like to measure ourselves because if you gain weight or anything, or you lose weight, your rise will change because it just the amount. So you might want to measure yourself each time that you're making a new pair of pants, right? So you can get that right. So now we've got those measurements, we have that number. Now the first thing you want to do is, in order to alter your bottoms correctly, you need to take your waistband into consideration. Because of course, Bo's right behind me, I don't want to run him over. So your pant might reach right here, you want it to reach up here, but here's the waistband. So that's an extra, on this one it looks like an extra inch, right? For the paper bag pants, it's a little bit higher, so you want to make sure that you take that into consideration when you're doing that. Now what I want to do first of all, I'm going to grab my waistband and I'm going to fold it in half first because you sew it in half, so that's what I'm doing. So then I'm going to draw a first line at the 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm drawing a line and taking off, forgetting about the 1/4 inch seam allowance, because you're going to need that, right? You're gonna get rid of that. You don't need it, doesn't matter. And then we're gonna draw the waistline lines. So first there's like a 1/2 inch line first, and then there's a casing for the elastic, which is 3/4 inch. So the first one is 1/2 inch, so 1/2 inch up from the 1/4 inch allowance, then a 1/2 and a 1/4 inch up from that. That's what this pattern gives us. So you can tell if I fold this down, this is what your waistband, the height of your waistband, minus the 1/4 inch down here. Now this right here is the paper bag pant flutter. So that's gonna go higher than where your pant hits. So if you measured right here at your waist, just remember that this little piece right here is gonna go up higher. So if you didn't want that ruffle to hit higher, you might wanna lower it with the ruffle as well. But we're not taking that into consideration because other pants don't have ruffles, and we're trying to get our measurement for anything. So now what we're going to do is we're going to mark off the seam allowance, and we're gonna do the same for our pants. And I'm gonna put some of these away. I've already cut these up because I've already done this to my pants before. So I'm gonna kind of put them aside so I can show you. So first thing I did was I subtracted that 1/4 inch seam allowance right here. Okay, and then I'm going to subtract a 1/4 inch seam allowance off my crotch seam. Now I already trimmed this out, so you can't see it right here, but what we're going to do is we'll grab our ruler and we'll go in a 1/4 inch and kind of mark it in a 1/4 inch all the way around the whole crotch area and bring in that in. And you can do this with any pant that you have, and then you can draw your 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, it's all the way there. I don't know if you can see it because it's a pencil, you might not be able to see it, but that's what we're doing. We're just cutting in that seam allowance. Okay, so now we're gonna grab our waistband and see where I marked my seam allowance. We're going to overlap my waistband seam allowance and my pant seam allowance. So if you can see, right here is my pant and right here is my waistband seam allowance. If you can see that, there's the 2 arrows. So they're matching up. So I'm getting rid of that seam allowance. So now we're gonna grab our measurement and we're gonna start where our pants should be. Like this is my waistband. Now remember, this is the flutter for the paper bag. So I'm gonna start at my waistband where it would do if it was a regular pant that had just a regular waistband, you would go down your seam allowance. So you get rid of your seam allowance because you're gonna be stitching that seam allowance in. So you wanna make sure that you have a correct measurement. And we're gonna start at that line and we're gonna go all the way down, measuring around that seam, that crotch, all the way to the edge of the crotch. And on mine, is, well, it was a 12, but let's just say 11. It really doesn't matter. Let's just say it's 11. It does matter to you. It just, right now for the demonstration, for me telling you what it is, it doesn't really matter. It's 11, okay? Because I already took it in. If you can see, I already took it in, which I'm going to show you. So let's say it's 11, which this is my mirror, my front piece, okay? So you got to make sure you're going to do this to both pieces. My front piece. And what we said was that my front rise was 9.5, right? So if this is 11, it measures at 11 and I am a 9.5, it means that I'm going to have to take 1.5 inches off, right? So whatever you are, as opposed to whatever the rise is here, that's how much you have to take off or add. Let's say that the rise was a 8. If you measure this and the rise was 8 instead of, let's say 8. So I would have to add 1.5 inches. But because it's 11, then I have to subtract 1.5 inches. Does that make sense? So what we're going to do now is we're going to take that 1.5 inches off the front. Now we've got to do the same thing for the back, because if there's more than 1 inch difference, then we're going to have to do with something a little bit different. If there's more than 1 inch difference on your front or back, you want to take it from different places. So you're going to just basically draw a line on your pattern, anywhere you want to in that seam and where the crotch is. You're gonna draw a line. I can move my waistband now so I can show you. You're gonna draw a line, and that's where you're going to cut your pattern. Now, if you have to add, you're going to spread your pattern up and add that inch. If you have to subtract, you're gonna lapse your pattern in and subtract whatever you need to subtract, okay? But also you gotta keep in mind that this pattern has pockets. So because it has these pockets, you have to make sure that you subtract from the pockets as well. See that right there? I did it on my pocket as well. So what you're doing is you're gonna put your pocket on here, and when you're subtracting, you can go ahead and cut that pocket and subtract it from both. So as much as you're subtracting or adding to the pant, you have to do it to the pocket as well, so it fits your pant. Okay, so now I'm gonna do the same for the back. Now on the back, so the front, I just have to add, we're gonna make it easy and say 1 inch. So if I had to switch 1 inch, I would just go up and switch that inch. Now for the back, let's say there's a difference. We do the same measurements. Let's say there's a difference of 2 inches. We're just gonna say 2 inches because it just makes it easy for me to explain. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut 2 places. We're gonna cut one place right down the middle, and then another place, because 2 inches, but if you have more than that, you can cut different places. Let me cut it. Where's my, so the one you're going to cut all the way through. Let's cut all the way through and subtract or add, whatever you have to do, that inch. I would say for my back, I am also subtracting, because this was a 15. Oh no, I'm adding 1/2 inch. I'm adding 1/2 inch. Now, because I subtracted 1 inch from the front, we need to make sure that our side seams are going to fit. If they don't, if you don't make sure of that, then you're gonna have a higher side seam than the other one. So they have to fit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to overlap 1/2 inch over here, which was what I added over there. I mean 1.5 inches is what I did. Did I do it? I said 1 inch. I'm gonna overlap 1 inch on the side seam. And then the rise is different. So the rise is going to go up. On the side seam, we're gonna have to take off the inch that we had, that we added, that we subtracted from the front, okay? Or you can even hinge this a little bit for the side seam. You can do that too. I'm gonna show you what hinging means right here. So what you'll do is you do that inch that you're subtracting off of it, but the rise is higher. So you have to add to the rise. All right, so there it is. So what we're going to do is we're gonna cut 2 pieces. We're gonna cut that one slice, and then here's another slice that I'm cutting. Okay, but I'm not gonna cut it all the way. And both of them, this one is overlapping, so that's okay, but the other one is not, so I'm not gonna cut it all the way. So I overlapped it the inch, and then on here, I wanna add to this pattern piece, so this is, now my pattern piece is even, see, because I just kind of hinged it out. It is even, and I wanted to add, what did I say? Mine was 15.5, so really I'm only adding 0.5, so I didn't really have to cut 2. I just have to go up 0.5 like this, like a hinge up. This will stay straight the same, subtracting that inch that I subtracted over here, but this side would go up a half an inch. Now if you had to add, let's say my back seam is actually, my back rise was actually like an inch, 2 inches, so then I would add 1 inch right here and then another inch right here, so it wouldn't be so such a weird cut. And this is my back rise. Like somebody that has a bigger behind that might need a bigger rise, and I don't, so I don't need it. But if you needed it, you would add it right here, but you don't want to add it to the side because this is gotta be the same as the front, so the front and back will have to stay the same, and then this will be added right here. Now that that's added, you either want to put a piece of paper right there, or when you put it over your fabric, you spread it out and you measure it again, or you just make a whole new pattern piece. And that's it. Then you just go ahead and cut your pattern just like this, and that's how you figure out your rise. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, please comment below and let me know your questions. We do have a, if you go to our Facebook page, we have a sew along that happened over our Facebook page about a year ago, where we sewed up the paper bag pants, and I did all this with Nellie. She helped me figure out all my measurements and everything. So if you want to go watch that video, Nellie goes a little bit more in depth on how to grade and how to get the perfect fit. So all you have to do is you just go to our Facebook page, Ellie and Mac Facebook page, which I'll attach the information to the info box below, and you go to the events tab. So you hit the events tab and you scroll until you find the paper bag sew along. Paper bag pants sew along, and there is going to be, I think, 5 videos on there, and the first video, the day 1 video, is the video where we measure and cut out our fabric. So we go through all this information on there as well. So if you want to go check that out, you can go ahead and check that out as well. If you want to leave me a comment below and have any questions, go ahead and do that. I hope this was helpful. I'm going to go ahead and cut out another pair of paper bag pants because I just love this pattern. And yeah, I'll see you later. Have a good day. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss any of our tutorials. Bye.